Thank you so
Hi.
much for joining this week's episode of Princess Interrupted, the podcast. I have the most amazing guest on the show today, and I am so excited. Please welcome Michelle Thomas with Magical Mutts, and she's Magical Mutts Michelle on Instagram. Michelle is an animal communicator and a channel. Michelle, hello, and thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Michelle and I were originally introduced because I was having some behavioral problems with my cat. I had pursued traditional means of helping to ease some of the issues that my cat was having. And I didn't feel like what I was receiving was going deep enough to help me. Michelle, I was really drawn to you because of your combination of energy work, and you've also worked with animals for a really long time. Would you mind going into your background and how you came into this field and your journey? Let's open it up.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a lifetime journey. Since I was a young child, I was very focused on my connection with animals. And my neighbor was a veterinarian. She really inspired me. And I first started deeply working with animals in that field. I had my license as a veterinary technician, worked in many different clinical practices, helping animals. But I just knew that there was more that I wanted to do to connect on a deeper level with animals. I first started with a more holistic approach to nutrition, and I found that through nutrition and supplements and really nourishing the whole body, I could help animals on a deeper level. But then I still felt like something was missing, a piece of the picture. And for myself, energy work was a really important part of my life and really helped me to make some transformations in my own personal life and physical health. I just started incorporating that into my practice with advising animals for nutrition, seeing what's in energetic alignment. Once I cracked open that box, it's continually evolved into animal communication, channeling, and connecting with animals on a deeper level, and connecting with myself and the beautiful people I work with on a deeper level and guiding them.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. These are the elements that make you unique. I love that you have both backgrounds and you were able to incorporate. And it seems like as you refined your craft, you were able to come more into your own and own what it truly is that you're here to help animals and people with.
Realize that it's not just about helping animals, that our animals are here for a reason in our lives. And through working with the animals, I'm also deeply impacting their people and their relationship together. And we can be so energetically interconnected that when you help one, you help the other.
Absolutely. And I hope that Meeko will join me for this episode as well. You hear he entered the chat?
Yeah, I feel like energy. He's like, I'm waiting.
I'm like, Miko, come here. I was really drawn to you because I believe that there's always a spiritual explanation of what's happening as well as a logical explanation. Through our working together with Miko, and you've worked with many other animals in my world as well, some bunnies and cats, and have helped so many other people. But for me, it was really interesting because we made tweaks to Miko's routine and life that on the surface were very practical. The first thing that you helped me with was really nutrition, as you said. And it's interesting to me because this is the work I do with clients where health is the first thing that you address. If you think about it with an animal, if they're struggling with health, you want to make sure that they're physically okay before you can work on deepening the connection. This is based on what you've shared so far. I'm like, this is following the trajectory of the work that we did together. As we got Miko's health in order and we started changing his food and changing the direction of things, we were able to work with him on things that were more like requests that were helpful to bettering our relationship. Is this a typical flow that you find?
Every individual is unique. And I also find that the information that's coming through for me is going to be the information that they need. So every individual, whether the animal or people, are going to be a different process, and kind of like peeling an onion, you know, where to start, like the layers, to, like unlayer. Like, so you said for him, like nutrition, he needed to have his nutrition shifted so that his body was ready to receive other shifts, because we all, our physical manifestations are reflective, yeah, are energetic. So they're all interconnected, and it can vary where we start. Sometimes I say, just stay on this food. We're going to work on a little bit of an emotional level. And when they're ready, adjust the food. And sometimes it's adjust the food first. and then work on the more spiritual level. Every individual is unique, and that's what I love about this work is that it's not one size fits all. You can hear so many opinions on nutrition or pet care, and it can be really confusing or overwhelming not knowing what choice to make, but really like individualize to your animal's needs.
Absolutely. You can connect to the animal and then you can make recommendations based on your own experience and the things that you know consciously, combined with the things that you pick up on intuitively. It was beautiful to see when I mentioned Miko's name and you picked up on it in your mind. Would you mind sharing a little bit about this process? Maybe even how you started to learn that you had these gifts and
I have learned to trust these intuitive pings. When you start doing that, even on the smallest level in your life, everything just flows easier. I would say this all began by me just listening to that and trusting it. I just had this ping where I know that people can use something called muscle testing for making nutritional recommendations for animals. And I just had this ping start using a pendulum to make nutritional recommendations. I had never worked with a pendulum before, but I just had this deep knowing that that is what I was supposed to do. So I followed it. And
Mhm.
from there, everything just exponentially opens up in my life when I follow these little things. No matter if it's the smallest thing in life, I was told to wear purple or blue to record
Yeah,
today. And I'm like, okay.
it's
So
like
it's
we're
like,
connected.
it can be the most minute detail, but when you start trusting these things, it just
Mhm.
opens up the world. It also can be on a larger scale of trusting your intuition on where life leads you. Even I know you work with people with
Absolutely.
relationships a lot. It's like if you have that inner knowing something's not right, just like trusting that.
Yeah.
So I feel like that works for our animals too. And I work with people a lot about dropping into themselves and their intuition and connecting with their animals instead of always being up here in our logical brain
Yeah.
all the time. It's like trusting your heart. And these, even when you said Miko's name, I just felt a flutter of energy. I trust now these feelings that
Yeah.
come in. I'm like, oh, that's him.
That's so beautiful. And you and him have had some communication before, so there must be a little bit of a resonance and a knowing.
Yeah, and animals, once we have a relationship, like last night I was going to fall asleep and there's a cat I work with a lot named Chance, and he's a very powerful cat in spiritual realm. And felt something coming through and I'm like, "Ah, Chance, that's you, buddy. I gotta sleep." Like, so I really have
Yeah.
to have my boundaries, but once we have a relationship, they're gonna wanna chime on in.
I love having this conversation because I can even feel as we're talking, and I have intuitive gifts as well. I've done channeling and things like this with energy work. For me, I'll feel different body buzzes. And I feel like my communication with Meeko has improved since I've started working with you. I'm not sure if you've noticed this, where the desire to communicate with animals, even that starts to help heal the relationship because it shows taking a step. Do you find that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And animals all the time are like, wow, this is so cool that I can communicate this directly with you. Like, can my mom do
Mhm.
this? And I'm like, yeah, we can work on this. Like, so it does strengthen your relationship, and your animals really are communicating with you all the time. It's just tuning into that. Like you said, these body feels. Everyone's different in how they receive messages. I'm very kinesthetic where I feel the energy in my body.
Mm.
I've had this my whole life and maybe didn't understand why. If someone's really trying to reach me, I'll get almost a little dizzy and a heart. Now I know cueing into these things. Some people may see an image in their mind's eye, some people may hear something. So it's just learning how you receive messages.
I want to also open up the conversation about what a communicator is. Early on in my journey, I had a misconception of what a psychic was. And I don't know if you identify with the term psychic or how you relate to these terms. Because I wanted certainty within myself, I used to seek external answers and what's going to happen,
Yeah.
almost this element of fortune telling. But even through working with you, it's helped reshape that's not what this is about. It's more so connecting to the elements that are at play now.
I guess that's why I don't typically use the term psychic for myself because I think there is this perception I'm going to tell you what's going to happen in your life. And that's not it. Sometimes I'll ask my guides, should I make this choice? Should I make that? And sometimes they're like, girl, use some free will. Like,
Yes. Oh, this is so important. This to me was a huge breakthrough in my own personal power. Once I stopped trying to rely on these resources to predict the future or know what was going to happen.
Yeah, follow your heart, know yourself, and things will unfold. We all struggle with wanting to have this control. What's going to happen? What should I do? What choice should I make? This is not my job to tell people what choice to make. I can read energetic patterns and
Mhm.
receive messages from your guides that may help you to know yourself deeper. I also hold space for channeling for energy work. So if there's some energetic blocks or reprogramming, I can hold space for that, but it's really about getting to a deeper knowing of yourself and a deeper connection to your guides. It's not telling you what to do.
I want to talk about the guides a little bit. Are animals spirit guides? Or are there separate guides? Or do we have guides that are animals?
There's different layers. So, um, often I see this dynamic of our animals coming into our lives for a reason. They were directly sent to us, this relationship, to teach us a lesson or to help with their soul through a lesson. And that can mean many lifetimes together. We do sometimes have soul ties with particular animals where we may have gone through lifetimes together in teaching each other or just have a deep bond and support each other. Then I find we have other guides as well, and these can really vary. I work with hummingbirds a lot. They're one of my
Wow.
guides, and some others, some angels. So there's really a whole realm, and everyone's can vary. I think it is about our filters. I call them wind guides because I like to see what element they are. So for me, hummingbirds are like the wind. They can come in and
Hmm.
sweep things.
Clear energy.
Yeah, but maybe for someone else that may present differently. It's interesting because we call them guides, but recently it's been coming through really deeply for me to call them dream weavers, that they like love that name. They're helping us weave our dreams.
That's so beautiful. I love all of this. And I love that you're able to open this communication for others.
Mhm.
So you can tell people if there's a spirit guide that's been wanting to communicate with them that they're unaware of. Because a lot of this does come to awareness, intention, and desire. Because you can close the door on these gifts, you can just deny it.
The information that I'm going to present is the information that you're ready for. So,
Right.
I have a session and someone is just not spiritually inclined or maybe a little nervous about it, but they really are curious to know what their animal has to say. Well, then that session will probably be a very animal communication centric session where I'm more speaking with their animal on their conscious mind, where it's more like a chatting conversation. And then they might be telling more fun things that they want to do with their owner, requests, things like that. But maybe some information that is going to challenge their perception. It's okay to push the
Mhm.
boundaries a little, but if they're just not ready to receive that, probably won't come through for me. Where if someone is deeper in their spiritual work, then like, let's go. It might get, weird.
Do you think about animals? They're so unconditionally loving beings. Miko's 8 or 9 at this point. Spider's turning 7. Your animals are with you through all these stages of life and they support us through everything. We sleep with them. I used to say my mom and her cat were aura bonded. These are just such deep, important relationships that
Yeah.
we have.
I think some people are nervous to have a session together because they're like, oh, what's my animal going to say about me? Maybe I feel like I made this mistake with them or a mistake on a personal level. And maybe they have judgment or resentment or are upset with me. And I can tell you, this is really never the case. Our animals are our greatest
Wow.
teachers of unconditional love and forgiveness, and they're so proud of you in your growth, but they're not holding resentment for any mistakes that you made. I recently had a course, I did my first iteration of it last week called Quantum Pet Parenting. And it's about pet
Wow.
parenting on the frequency of love. And I channeled messages from our animals, many of the people who participated in the class, and some of my own animals, all these messages of love, just how much they love us. It's almost like we think we're higher than the animals, but it's not.
Mhm.
They're saying, we understand you're
Yeah.
human. You're only human.
You think about the way animals operate, even from a nervous system perspective. I work with the nervous system a lot. And one of the things that we learn about animals is that they'll face a threat and they'll immediately shake it off and then just move on. Yes, they're very primal and they operate from a simple perspective, but they also operate from pure love, which is a higher level of consciousness.
Even animals that have come from abusive situations. Some of them don't want to talk about it because it was difficult for them, but they're not holding resentment towards these people who abuse them. They'll say something like, "Oh, this person didn't know themselves, so they couldn't give love to me." But so it's like not like, "Oh, I hate that person," or "They were horrible." It's like, "Oh, this person really didn't have a deep understanding of self, so it was
Mhm.
reflected in anger or, would
Wow.
not give me love."
That's a really advanced spiritual perspective,
Yeah,
actually.
our animals are so advanced. Everyone's animals have been my greatest teachers. I'm learning something every day from them.
A place where you really gave me permission for forgiveness was my relationship with my cat Spider, who now lives with my dad. But that was one of the most beautiful gifts to receive, where you were able to connect with him, even though he wasn't physically, even in my space when we were on the call together. But the things that you said about the relationship, where you were able to affirm you guys have had 8 lifetimes together, he was sent to heal your broken heart. I felt guilt for that. I couldn't make the relationship between him and Meeko work. But
Mhm.
you explained it so eloquently, where you were like, he's so happy because he's living in his purpose. His purpose was joint with you and your dad. And it gave me a perspective that I would have never came to logically, that I don't think I ever would have reached otherwise.
Animals want us to do what's best for us. So even sometimes I have people who, because of breakups, things like that,
Mm.
need to leave an animal with their ex-partner, something like that. And the animals do not hold resentment. They say, like, I see that this choice was for your highest good, and therefore it's for my highest good. They're also connected with us, even when we're not physically together. So they're like, we're still heart connected, but they don't want you to stay in a situation that is going to be an unhealthy energetic pattern. They understand that and want you to make choices for yourself that are moving you forward or bringing you joy. Even people feel like they need to, if their pet is aging or something like that, just be in a lot of
Mhm.
sadness. Usually they're like, no, go do things that find you joy.
That's been my favorite takeaway so far of this conversation, was just the pure love that animals emulate. They do think about things differently in such a more gentle perspective. It is that higher perspective, almost like the fourth dimension of just love and interconnectedness.
Yeah, they're so much more elevated than us in this just unconditional love of themselves too. Our animals hype themselves up. That's one of my favorite things is when I get on a call and connect and they're like, "Let me tell you about myself. I am amazing." But they're like, "My fur is shiny, my teeth are nice, I am strong. I am like an elevated spiritual being connected to the sun."
I don't know if Meeko has anything
So
he
I
wants
can,
to. Do we
yeah.
want to bring Meeko in as a guest on the
Yeah,
pod?
probably everyone love to see his face, but I don't need to. I just need
I
to ground
know.
myself. In order to connect, I have to be very purposeful. I think people have a perception like, oh, you're an animal communicator. Animals are just talking to you all the time.
Hmm.
You must just have your dog chatting with you.
Hmm.
And it's like, no, you need to have a very purposeful connection where I'm grounding myself to the earth, connecting up to the heavens, and then
Wow.
heart to the animal and open to receive messages.
That's such a beautiful practice. And thank you for explaining that process.
That's why sometimes people say like, "Oh, I'm not an animal. I couldn't be an animal communicator. I don't hear anything from my animals." You have to like be
Intentionally connect to them.
also be like overwhelming to the nervous system if you're being flooded all the time.
Well, yeah, you walk outside and there's birds and deer. And do you find that that happens?
Yes, and that's been a beautiful thing too, is just like gratitude and connection day to day. Even if I'm not receiving deep messages, it's like, saying hello to the tree waving behind you right now. And once you do open up something like animal communication, you can connect with anything.
That's one of the ways that you've really helped my family, my mom particularly, when her cat passed. I know that you were able to connect with him as well, and you were able to connect with him before he passed. Is it a different skill?
Yeah, there's, this our souls in our body are, the same as connecting to a soul outside. It's going to be a different conversation. Usually, if I
Um,
connect to a soul that's no longer in their body, usually they're going to just want to give you advice as a spirit guide for yourself.
yeah, so you can tell
Yeah.
the difference energetically, but it's still a conversation and a skill that you have, but it's a little bit of a different conversation.
See, Spider comes through first. So,
Oh,
yeah.
I miss him so much. I have to visit him
Because he's
soon.
here with you listening.
As soon as Michelle was able to connect to Spider energetically, I simultaneously received a voicemail from my dad where he said, Spider says hi. And so I received this. I sent this to Michelle immediately after, but it was pretty wild how the timing lined up of her connecting with him energetically and receiving the message that Spider had connected with me on voicemail.
Also, that's what I've realized is like this deep telepathy that they can have. They can tell you things about yourself or other people when they're not with you. My dog Charlie, I guess, is like coming in the car with me all the time. And
Mm.
different animals have different layers of that. Most cats are very, very, very skilled at it. But dogs, I'll see different levels. Some dogs, one said she needs to like physically have her mom's head touching her to have it, but then other animals are very skilled. I can see through your eyes. I'm there with you. So Spider is just saying he's here. Okay, now I go to Meeko. It's just like Spider one. It's us to know
He he's so self-sufficient, but he is always with me. I feel him so much.
that. Here.
Mm. Thank you, Spider.
Meeko's just saying he hears my voice. See, they'll hype you up too. He's like, you have a lovely voice. Like, but, they're very usually kind and sweet and generous and happy that I'm listening.
Yeah.
Some birds, like there was some birds at another place you were living, maybe that he misses.
In New York, he used to love watching the birds at his cat tree.
Winter, he's just saying there's some birds out the
Oh.
window that I miss. He just wants them to
Mm.
come back. They're his friend. You,
He
uh,
re-
you, you had a question for him, huh?
he's just been really snuggly and affectionate lately, like more so than he usually is.
Just saying your smell is so sweet, that you're just, yeah, so lovely. He likes when your hair shines in the sun.
Oh, that's so nice.
Is So he's saying he's snuggling more with you because you've been gentler on yourself. They feel more comfortable being closer in our energetic field when we are also more in balance. He's just saying you've been gentler and more loving with yourself, so this helps him to feel more calm.
That's so sweet.
Does he like to bite your hands? He's talking about biting you. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say no bites. They're
Comes through his
gentle.
teeth like to bite her hand. Like that's what he's telling me.
Wait, what did he say? He likes to bite my
Like,
hand.
like yeah, my teeth want to bite her body.
It's true. I have to say no
Like a
bite.
form of love. Like it's not aggression. It's him
No,
sharing.
it's not aggressive, but he loves it. He loves love bites.
He says when I sink my teeth in, it feels fantastic. Like a love connection. He's
Yeah.
bonding with
That
you.
makes sense why he does it a lot. Like when I pet him, he does like to. So it's like a kiss.
Mhm. Yeah, he's saying like he feels his energy through your energy through his teeth.
That's so interesting.
He has an idea of something else you could do instead of that.
Oh, I'm open to suggestions.
He says you could sing a song about me, about like how handsome, how beautiful he is.
I do have a song that I sing to him. It's his Miko's Mommy's Baby song. That's what it's just, I haven't sang it to him recently.
Lovely to my ears. He has an idea for the song though, maybe some different lyrics.
Oh, okay.
Says it's about how proud and strong he is. So proud and
Like,
strong.
Miko's so proud and strong. I don't
Is
know.
it strutting and this strutting like
Mm.
the sun is how it comes through. So this is where it's like Ra, who's like this god of the sun, this Egyptian god.
Okay, so how he's a sun cat. Okay, I can vibe with that. I think Miko's pretty spiritually connected. I don't know that cats care about numbers, but his birthday's on 11/11, so I've always called him my little spiritual being.
He's saying somehow like if you sing about how powerful he is, that maybe but he's connecting this biting, like it'll be another way to connect
Mm.
the energy between the two of you, that he might reduce his needing your
His
flesh in his teeth.
I know that's like so cute, but he is also talking about biting me with his razor sharp teeth.
He's talking about something in the energy of his tail bothering him.
Oh, okay.
He's saying it feels better now. A couple of years ago, something in the energetics of his tail was off.
Hmm.
Something in this new environment versus where you used to live. There's a better energetic flow through his tail.
I do think he seemed better here. He has me, he has my mom as well. So their connection's still new at best.
He says my tail is a representation of the balance in the environment. So there's greater harmony in the energetic environment.
I do have a specific question, as long as we promise not to judge Meeko. So the only place he poo-poos in the house is my mom's room when her
He
door is
already knows you're
open.
going to ask it because he's starting to answer. So this is where they're like telepathic. So he's like, I'm like, hold on, let her ask it.
I'm like, I don't want to expose you, Meeko, but I need to know.
Your mom's room?
Yes, only in her room. So
The
she has to keep
signal to
her.
her
I figured. What's
to
the signal?
clean up her mind. What does this mean?
Mm,
Worrying thoughts.
okay.
That she needs to subdue these worrying thoughts. Let me ask if he has advice on how to do this.
Mm.
I think we brought this up before. It's like exercise in the park. It's like I saw your mom doing like,
Yeah. That
Mhm.
was so funny. Both cats told her, Mushu, her cat who passed, and Meeko were both like, they both came through at different times and told her to move her body.
So it comes to his exercise in the park.
Okay. I'll make sure to pass the message along, Meeko. Thank you.
It'll help sweep these thoughts away.
That makes sense though, because that's really the only place he does it. It's funny because we keep the door closed and he'll run in there and do it.
He says, I love her so much. It's a blessing to her, my signal. So these poops are an offering.
I told her because
Message.
I kept telling her because she was interpreting. She's like, I thought we were friends, Meeko. Like they were bonding and would sleep on her bed and then he would do it. And that was another thing that I think is an important message too, is that animals don't view when they do these things as like acting out a lot
No,
of the
he's just
times.
like, hello, I'm trying to tell you something. You're not getting it. And maybe it's especially ramped up because he's like, we already talked about this.
She hasn't been listening.
Yeah.
What's funny is he only did it in my room once when I went away, and it was something related to I needed to forgive the past. He's toned it down, but anytime my mom's door is open.
Like mind worrying too. So I guess this is like his signal if you need to rebalance and ground.
Okay, my one question for Meeko is on behalf of, I guess he might only be able to talk on himself, but other animals, like we're just try is there something that you want us to better understand as pet
Oh,
owners?
that Nico wants to, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Is there
funny.
any
He's definitely in your mind because I'm like, it's let's wait.
me like is
Sometimes they humble me. They're like, let me slow this down for your human mind. Like,
that's why I'm like, Meeko, on behalf of all animals, what would you like to say on the podcast?
I would like them to know that their hearts will lead them where they need to go, that their minds can be busy, but their hearts will be pure. If you slow down and listen to your heart, life will flow much easier.
Mm.
He's got more to say. He says, my mom knows this and tries to remind people of this too.
Oh, that's so cute.
He's saying how proud of you he is.
That's so
He says,
nice.
I'm proud of my mom for learning this lesson.
It's really sweet.
She's dedicated her life to sharing these words.
That's gonna make me cry. That's so sweet. It really is. And even as he said that, I just imagined meditation and taking the time to really slow down and pausing what feels so important on the external. And
Yeah. He's saying my mom's hair should always be sleek like this too. Like he's loving your hairstyle.
he loves this look.
I like it when they have like opinions on hair and stuff,
That's so sweet.
for themselves and their people.
He's so particular. I remember he said that he wanted brown feather toys that matched the birds outside.
Yeah, he's like, let's make this realistic. Like if
And
I have
then
not a real bird, at least make it look like a bird.
I remember you told him, like, Meeko, there are birds that are that color. And he's like, ugh, just feels fake. And our animals are also, they really love energy. I remember when I was getting my Reiki training, Spider would always sit on my lap and he loved it. So that was an interesting thing too, is almost like working these energetic practices with our pets.
Yes, absolutely. Our animals are energetic healers, naturally, a lot of them. So, if they're cats will like sit on you and clear you energetically. So
Yeah. So you can also, he loves meditating with me too. Like we were talking about the slowing down of the heart. He loves meditating with me.
they love these practices that ground ourselves and they're going to have deeper connection. So when you're doing meditation, you're probably also much more open to receiving input from him. So he's probably has a more open pathway to communicating with you. So he's talking about grounding to the earth. He's just saying people need to remember to ground. This is very important. with your heart connection. So having a practice of grounding yourself, meditation. Sometimes I talk to people and I ask, do you have a spiritual practice? And they say no. And then their guides come through and say, yes, gardening, art,
Mm.
exercise. These can all be forms of like finding flow, of meditative practice. If you're turning your phone off, doing these things and just giving your
Mhm.
mind this like space to get in a flow state, that really is like a form of meditation in a way. I love like sitting down and meditating, or I have these acupuncture mat that like getting into a deeper state. I am told like you should learn to do it without the acupuncture mat first. I don't know if you've seen those, like, they have a pillow that has all little spikes and then a mat, and
Mm.
it's kind of like a shortcut loop to get in that state. But it is good
Yeah.
how to do that first. But finding these practices where you feel in flow. Even people say, "Oh, I get my best ideas in the shower." That's because you're like just getting into a meditative state while you're in there.
Some days I'll not meditate or I'll try to meditate for the purpose of creating output, like meditate so that I can get creative ideas, but it's almost taking the focus off and thinking about like those are the most beautiful moments where I just have a slow morning with him and I just lay with him and he's with me. Like even this morning, he just crawled on my lap. Those really are such enriching moments of grounding.
I'm curious if he's like clearing for you. He says, "Of course." He says, like, I transmute energy. He says, I transmute energy like I'm an electrical pathway to like clean the energy in the room.
Wow, he's like a little cat purifier,
Mhm. Yeah, totally. Our cats are like
little
exactly.
energy purifier.
I'm partial, but I'm like, everyone needs a cat. They like
I
so balance
agree.
the energy in the home.
It's been sweet too. I feel like everywhere I go, there's a cat. Just every house I go to ends up having a cat. It's
You got some cat energetics. Yeah, let me see. Oh, he's very chatty now.
your,
Cat too.
oh,
Like you,
yeah. What'd he say about
saying
the?
like you yourself are like a cat too. Mhm.
Oh, that's so nice. But is there anything else, just like our final mic drop?
From Meeko or from myself?
I was gonna say from Meeko, and then we're gonna
Okay.
hand you the back the mic.
He just says cats are the gateway to the higher realms.
I love that. That is a mic drop.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
They're so
that.
magical. I
Thank
like
you.
my name is magical Mutts because, but I work with far beyond dogs. I love working with horses. They're incredible magical beings too. Did a session for an iguana that was really cool. Your friend's rabbits. So
Yes.
really interesting to just like work with all the different species and they're how unique they can be. The iguana was really interesting because it felt the energy was just like the waves of the ocean slow.
I could even feel that as you said that because it almost feels a little bit cooler too.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's pretty interesting to me.
Wow. It
Fantastic.
almost is like our animals are our little spirit guides in the 3D.
I was thinking about this last night, just with like my dogs can be so silly and they're so cute, and sometimes they're just so
Mhm.
doggy. And I'm like, people have no idea that they're like these spiritual gurus in these like cute, furry little like forms. But I'm like, well, they were made that way because then we accept them
Yeah.
into our home and just bring us joy. And they're supposed to be kind of, in disguise that way.
Yeah, I've never really thought about it that way, but it's funny with the episode that I just recorded where I was talking about these things and then thinking about our animals. It really is what it is because it's a different species, but it's someone who's here to help guide us on our journey where we can communicate with them, but it's not the traditional communication that you have with other humans.
Even if we are not telepathically communicating with them on a knowing level, they're still bringing like so much beauty
Joy.
and joy to our lives.
It was really cute. My friend's pet sitting right now, and there was a dog and three cats, and they all love on the dog. They all will lick the dog and it was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, my cats groom my dogs too. I have four cats and three dogs, and all four cats will lick the dogs.
It's
And if like
so
one of the dogs,
cute.
especially, he'll like come over to the cats and he tries to like initiate.
Yeah, I saw the one cat did like a drive-by kiss where they do the like the thing with their mouth on the side.
Yeah,
Like with
like
the dog. I was like, it's so cute. I had never seen that.
I love observing the relationship between them. I think people have this
Yeah.
like, traditionally that dogs and cats don't get along. Dogs tell me a lot in session. like fascinated by the cats because, you know,
because they're the
it's
higher
the
spiritual.
interesting thing is like pretty much all cats are like very high, like gateway. How did Miko word it? Like gateways into the higher realms.
Right.
Where dogs can be really varying levels of like earth guides or connected to the spiritual realms on these higher levels. There's no judgment between the different,
It's not
but
a
there's,
hierarchy.
yeah, exactly. But it's really interesting to see this. I feel like their jobs can vary quite a bit, where cats are kind of
Wow.
all of in these higher realms, dogs can really have a variance.
It almost even ties back to what Miko said earlier about how grounding is the secret anyway. So maybe people who are less spiritually inclined need those same groundings, and they only can do that through a dog who I take it probably requires a lot of attention or a lot, or maybe a dog who's really calm.
There are so many different types of dogs, right? Like personality. You find the one that you're drawn to and feels right, like the right match, and then that's probably like how they're supposed to spiritually guide you finding this match.
We talked a lot about cats on this because I'm particularly biased, but any animal that you're communicating with can be somebody's guide.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing the way the universe works to like connect us even with the animals we're supposed to be with. I believe in reincarnation and I'll talk with dogs who are getting ready to pass. That's something that I work with a lot as animals are getting to end of life, communicating with them, seeing how you can support them and what their wishes are. Some animals would like, assistance in transitioning, or they'll tell us, okay, when I stop eating, this is my cue to you. They kind of can communicate what their sign to you will be that they're ready to transition out of their body, but it's a much different perception for them. They don't have the fear around passing that we do, but often they will communicate their plans if they want to come back into physical
Wow.
with their owners again. But there's just like this trusting of the universe. If they're supposed to come back to you in physical form, they'll find their way. Yeah, doing this work has completely shifted my perception of death. When my animals pass, I will greatly miss them being here in physical form, but I'll know that there's still a spiritual connection between us,
Mhm.
a deep spiritual connection. So you're never without them. But of course, we miss having them in our physical realm. But I
Mhm.
also can say your animals will not ever have resentment. I know people can have guilt of like, maybe I could have done this medical thing to
Mhm.
save them. Maybe I could have done that. Maybe I did this wrong and hold a lot of guilt. But our animals don't view it that way. I've never had an animal in spirit say, well, I really wish, I would have had that $10,000 surgery to save me,
Mm.
or that we could give ourselves guilt that we couldn't facilitate that. Our animals are just in unconditional love and understanding.
They have such wisdom.
They are so wise. They're greatest teachers.
I'll ask you for your final either mic drop moment or like one of the most beautiful experiences or anything that you want to like share as far as within the communication that you've had.
They're just our greatest teachers, and knowing that your animals do hold you in such love and they want you to know this perception that we're taking care of them, they're not as heavily evolved. Nothing is further from the truth. Our animals are highly evolved beings and have so much wisdom to share with us. If you're just able to open your heart and really connect with them, you can learn so much about yourself and about them.
I've absolutely loved our conversation. Michelle, what are ways that if someone wants to work with you?
Magical Mutts Michelle on Instagram. My friend Emily, who's also an animal communicator and channel, her and I are working together to launch something called Best at Communications. And this will be helping to build community. A lot of people I talk to feel really alone in their spiritual endeavors. They feel like they want friends so they can talk to these
Mhm.
things about, community support. And even support, particularly, will be geared towards our animals. We want to create a space where we can really share a lot of our knowledge or wisdom from our animals and also create community. We'll have classes through it and just help you to connect with other people who are on this journey together. And
Oh, I love it. And the
yeah,
name of that again? I just
Bastet, who is like the goddess of cats.
Oh my
Pet
God.
communications, yeah.
Perfect. And we'll include a link in the show notes and links to your socials so that people can find you. I am just so grateful to have found you. It's really enriched my life and my relationship with Meeko, and it's changed the way that I relate to my animals in general. So I just want to thank you. It's
Thank
been really meaningful.
you. Thank you for having me, and to Meeko and Spider.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'll make sure to add that they're featuring.
Cats are not shy with sharing how wonderful they are, and they want acknowledgement for
Give
that.
credit where credit is due.
So, I just to say I wrote that, I did this class, Quantum Pet Parenting, but I wasn't the main author. I had, a horse and a cat that were really helping me to write it. And the cat was like, okay, my photo needs to be before yours in the introduction. After I presented it, I was like, what did you think? Any notes? And he's like, more photos of me.
This is so funny. So that makes sense why Miko's been so snuggly because my entire camera roll is just pictures of me and him. He's like, take your pick. We're gonna
Yeah.
put this on the
Yeah, all the time
podcast.
people will be like, show people pictures of me, brag about me, give me credit.
It's interesting too. I'm not sure if you've seen Wicked, but it's almost like this is the inverse of Wicked, where Wicked, the animals are losing their voices, but it seems like in the world, in the movie, like that's one of the plot points is that like the animals are losing the ability to speak. It's interesting because in this conversation, we're almost giving a voice to animals, but bringing awareness to the fact that they want to communicate with us is opening the channels and kind of giving them
They
their
get very
voices.
excited when they have a platform to speak. So that's where I'm giving a class, but really it's like the wisdom of the animals channeling through me.
This has really opened my mind, but I think about what a more fulfilling experience it is to be able to live like this.
Whether it's through the animals or just the little moments of magic around us every day, it can really make life really beautiful and a whole different experience. I can't imagine going back inside the box again.
There's no going back. That's the thing that I've learned.
That's why we want to form this community. Once you come
I
outside of the box, it's hard to do
know.
to speak to your family or your friends who don't understand this perception. You need to have people you can have these conversations with.
I really appreciate you saying that, even because I think that that's something that a lot of people who are listening can probably relate to. And the fact that you're creating a safe space for that, it's a service even having these conversations.
Once you are surrounding yourself with people who are in alignment frequency wise, like you will accelerate quickly. For me, the biggest thing was like when I first started this work, I'm like, okay, I'm going to say these things, and a lot of people won't understand it or think I'm really weird. And once I didn't care anymore, it's like
Hmm.
people find you.
My friend and I were having this conversation. I've started to open up about topics that I previously would have watered down or made more palatable to the masses, as opposed to saying what was truly on my heart to say. And I'm sure you run into this as coming into your own power and your energy. And she was like, it's a little bit of like a flashing energy with a trench coat, like, ah, I'm going to say it, but then cover back up. And when you're around like minded people, you can hold the energy of like your naked
Yes,
truth.
exactly. Fully flashing
Yeah,
that.
but it's true because that's the truth. That's the part that's not just interesting, but that's the part that's valuable. Like you're covering up the gifts when you're
Yeah, and then
not
you're not
doing it.
finding the people who really need to hear your message. I found when I don't water it down anymore, when I'm just speaking my truth, sure, people fall away, and that's
Mhm.
okay because the people who need to
No.
find you will find you, and
Oh,
they'll feel heard and they'll feel seen and they'll feel validated, and then we can all grow together.
but then what was once unfathomable becomes common and becomes the new normal.
Exactly. I was telling you before we started recording, I'm just getting my teeth cleaned, and she asked me what I did. And then she was so excited to talk about animal communication and telepathy. And we were talking about the energetics of disease and all these things. And it's just exciting when you meet people who are like, I mean, I couldn't talk. I was like, ah, she's like asking questions because she was so excited.
I'm
Even
just laughing. You wanted
she's like,
to
what took you so long in there? Because she was getting hers done by another hygienist and she was done like so much earlier. She was just excited to talk.
I'm just laughing at the thought. That's where telepathy would be really convenient.
Yeah, yeah. Just like
If you could just
trouble.
communicate that way.
Yeah, so people are excited about it. There's a lot of people who are excited about it. That's my final say is share your truth. And
Mhm.
you might lose people along the way, but you're gonna find so much love and support too.
Do you know what's really interesting? And just to really nail this back home, we could have met with you as a vet or a behavioralist, and this could have been a gift that nobody
Mhm.
ever knew about. But because you trusted yourself and you brought this out, you're able to make that much of a deeper impact where you still were helping animals and you were still always able to do this. But through honoring your truth, there's just so much deeper work that you've been able to do.
I feel so much more fulfilled in helping animals than I did ever doing any of the other work. Not
Thank
to
you.
discredit the work that people in the veterinary field and everything are doing, but like if we merge spirituality with that, like, yeah.
This is your unique pathway. I'm so grateful to have found someone who can help with what I actually needed because I didn't just need the surface level support.
Mhm.
I needed that deeper connection. I'm so excited to see what's to come. People are going to really love this episode. Thank you.